What's up, guys? Today we're going to do a little short video. We've got this huge tank. Let me turn the welder off so you can hear me. We've got this huge tank behind me. This is going on my dump truck. This is a 125-gallon transfer tank. Joey drew this up in CAD, 14 gauge sheet metal. Basically just two tacos, as we call them. Put them together. We've got baffles in here to make it strong since it's so big and the metal's, you know, really not that thick. Plus this will help with the fuel slosh and stuff. So we're gonna get this thing cleaned up and we're gonna do a lot of TIG welding because there's some long joints on this thing. So let's get started. Well, that was a whole lot of welding, but we got it all done. This is 125 gallons, if I didn't say it already. And I know you can buy these for around 900 bucks. Not quite this big, maybe this big, but dimensionally it wasn't gonna be what I wanted. I wanted something 24 inches tall, 20 this way, and 60 inches that way. Now the reason I wanted this, because my truck, we'll get to installing this on the truck here in a minute, but my truck has a dump bed, and the dump bed comes down like this, and then it's got a space. It's a 12-foot dump bed, so it's got a space between the dump bed and the cab. And I wanted to fill that space with this tank, but I wanted the tank to be just inside the bed so it was kind of protected. It wasn't hanging out, you know, super wide. Plus, I don't want a ton of space hanging over where it's going to be sitting on the frames, because you put fuel in this thing, it's going to be 1,200 plus pounds of fuel whenever it's filled up. So I don't want a whole lot hanging over. You can see whenever I tacked it together, this has internal baffles and gussets. Well, it's a baffle and a gusset really, because it poked through the sides here. You can see where I've welded, and this helps hold the tank really rigid because it is so big, and the material is really not that thick. So it welded just about like all hot rolled stuff welded, that sheet metal, kind of like crap, but it's pretty good. There's no holes in it. It's pretty slick. We're going to give it a rattle can job. I would normally powder coat something like this, but it's going on my personal truck, so Rust-Oleum, about 5-6 cans. That's what it's going to be. So we've got a vented cap here. This is where you can put a lock on it, keep people from stealing stuff. And we've got the, well, I can get back on there. Come on now. There we go. We've got the Feel-Right 15 gallon per minute pump that's going to go right here. And it will run off of my dump bed motor circuit, which is a 250 amp circuit running back right near the tank here. So I won't have to run a bunch of wire leads back up to the battery or anything like that. Everything will be kind of right there, which I'll get to all that whenever I hook it all up. But the main thing is the tank is assembled and welded and ready to go. Now when we put it on the truck, we're going to have tabs coming off the bottom. The table's rolling away. A tab that overlaps, just for instance, this is the frame rail here. We'll just have a tab that comes over and comes down and bolts into the side of the frame rail, and it'll kind of cap over the frame rails, and that's how it'll be held on. We've also got a drain here. If I ever need to drain it, that'll be a way I can do it there. But pretty happy with it. Went together really good. Joey does a good job at designing our tanks and stuff in CAD. And this was basically a two-piece deal with the internal baffles that went together just like a puzzle piece. So very easy assembly, just a lot of welding. So back here Monday at the shop, and we're getting the tank mounted on the dump truck right quick. But what I'm gonna do is take these metal strips and I'm gonna weld them to the bottom of the tank. See, we've got the tank in its position here where it's gonna sit. We're gonna weld these to the bottom of the tank. That way the tab is not pulling on the tank itself, it's pulling on this big strip that goes all the way across. And that'll you know, help it not try to pull a hole in the tank when we get it filled up and a lot of weight in it. That'll be some good support. So before I do that, I'm gonna spray some weld through primer on the back of all these plates. That way, because I'm not going to fully weld this all the way around, I'm probably going to stitch it, and some water might get in there, and I don't want it to rust or corrode or anything like that. So I'm going to spray some primer on it so it doesn't do that. Ethan's cutting the tabs that we're going to break 90 degrees and weld to this and bolt through the frame. So we got the tank painted and sit on the truck. We actually took it back off and put some little foam strips with adhesive back right on the frame, just so it has some cushion to kind of sit on, so it don't try to rub through the metal eventually. And we haven't drilled our tabs yet because the pump just came in. This is the Feel Right 15 gallon per minute pump set up. Got it with the filter, the manual nozzle, all that stuff. We're going to get all that put on before we anchor the tank down, just in case it has to be shifted for clearance on this pump. So we're going to do that now. So fast forward a little bit, we got everything installed, wired up, and ready to use. The filter, I ended up twisting it this way and kind of leaning it that way because I wanted it as tight to the upright as possible. That way it wasn't flopping around way out in space. So that's why I done that. But good clearance on everything. Run the wiring back under the frame and tied it into the power on the dump pump. So power and ground's both right here, kind of centralized, easy to get to. And that's tied into a single 250 amp breaker that I can kill it if I want to kill power to both things, if I'm going to leave the truck parked for an extended time or something like that out of town. But everything's good to go now. And the way this bed is, even with the hose draped over right there, it goes right in between here, so I can open and close my bed or dump it. I'll show you right here. It clears everything really good. But yeah, that's it. 125 gallon transfer tank in my dump truck now. That's going to really make it convenient not having to fuel up basically after every job. I can just have the fuel with me and not worry about how much fuel is in the machine, because I'll have enough here to put fuel in it whenever I need. So see you next time.